The Senate reconvenes this morning with a big vote to keep the government funded, but the bill might not make it through the House with a deadline fast approaching for that partial government shutdown. Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn joining us this morning with the latest on what's behind and what's happening really behind the scenes there in Congress. Good morning to you, Senator. A lot of folks went to bed last night, thought an agreement had been reached, and then woke up this morning and said, what happened with the vote? Why wasn't there a vote?
And we would have liked to have had a vote last night. Of course, what you've seen is the Democrats want to break off DHS funding, Homeland Security funding. There are many of us that think that that is inappropriate because DHS also covers FEMA. We're recovering from a major winter storm. It covers the Coast Guard, it covers TSA, all of that, in addition to ICE, which is where they have their problem. But Jan, what you will see is the agreement that is worked out. 5 of the appropriations bills will go through in a package and be voted on and confirmed. And then there will be a 2-week CR on the DHS funding. That makes certain that no funding lapses for these critical services that are needed right now in states like mine, there in Tennessee, where we have had a devastating ice storm that has truly crippled much of the mid-state. Right. And it is important to get this process. See, we're getting off the Biden budget. We're getting onto a Trump and Republican budget. And actually, we are bending that spending curve down for the first time in decades when it comes to those discretionary accounts. That's a big step. We want to get these 5 bills across the finish line and work out that one remaining bill. It will be the closest thing to regular order that we have had in decades.
How do you balance not shutting down the government and also avoid caving to key GOP priorities?
And the GOP is pretty much in line on this. It is the Democrats that are wanting to shut down the government and make it over ICE, make it a funding fight about ICE. And we are saying, look, this is not the time to have a government shutdown. The Schumer shutdown was the longest we have had. It cost us $11 billion. Shutdowns are expensive. People get paid when they return to work. Work piles up. People do not get permits. They would not be getting their IRS refunds. You would see a lot of things that would be slowed down. So what we're saying is, let's get this finished across the finish line. Let's get off the Biden budget. Let's get on to a Republican budget, and let's begin to reduce what the federal government spends.
Do you think the House is going to be able to pass what the Senate passes? Because it sounded like House Speaker was a little concerned there might be a couple of GOP holdouts that might not agree to this.
And President Trump is working very closely with the House right now.
Got it. I want to look ahead very quickly to what you've mentioned that could potentially also be happening this weekend with forecasters thinking there could be another big winter storm that could bring some snow and ice to parts of Tennessee. What steps are being taken to prepare for perhaps a second round of dangerous weather? And what's your message to your residents in your state as this next storm does approach?
Yes, the message is stay off the road, stay home, stay safe, stay out of harm's way. Give first responders, the National Guard, the Highway Patrol, local officials, our power crews, our people are repairing water mains. All of these public works individuals and crews need space to work. Nashville has been devastated by this, the entire mid-state area, and with this very cold weather that is going to come in back into single or low double-digit numbers over the weekend. We just want everyone to stay safe. I will say this, our governor, the National Guard, have done a terrific job. They have stepped up. They've been out helping to rescue people, move them to safety. They've been getting medical workers, healthcare workers to hospitals to care for people. They've been making well checks on the elderly, and the National Guard and the Tennessee Highway Patrol have really done a great service for the people of our state.
Senator, I want to turn very quickly to another issue that you've taken the lead on this week. You pressed Live Nation executives over ticket bots and high prices. Kid Rock also testified that the ticketing system is broken and rigged. In fact, let's take a listen to what he had to say.
In 2009, Congress was told under oath that merging Live Nation and Ticketmaster would benefit artists and fans. The CEO of Live Nation called the merger an experiment and promised it would increase competition, empower artists, and lower costs. Needless to say, that experiment has failed miserably. Independent venues have been crushed. Artists have lost leverage. Fans are paying more than ever and getting blamed for it. This wasn't an experiment. It was a monopoly dressed up as innovation.
So with antitrust lawsuits already moving forward at this point, what real changes do you want to see, especially when it comes to these fees, these ticket bots, and then speculative pricing?
Yes, indeed. Let me start with speculative tickets. This is something where they say they bought a ticket, they don't. And they do not have that ticket. People buy that ticket. It doesn't land in their email, or they get a ticket and before they get to the venue, it has disappeared. It's been recalled from their wallet or from their phone. So therefore, that needs to come to a halt. You have many that are supporting breaking apart Live Nation and Ticketmaster because of the monopolistic practices that are there. Also, there's got to be more verification of who is in the resale market. These bots, bad actors, and brokers that are using these bots. And Jan, what we have found out is that you may have a group like KEYE Investment Group over in Maryland. They make millions of dollars every year as a ticket reseller. They use the bot, they scrape the tickets, the event sells out, and then the tickets show up on the resale site at 2, 3, 4 times the price. Some of the Taylor Swift tickets were 70 times the face value of the ticket. This is deceptive and unfair practices. The FTC has jurisdiction over that. We have the authority to investigate, and the items that are covered by the FTC. This is a broken marketplace. And we had a witness from the independent venues, and they talked about how broken this is. We also heard from some of the resellers. This is something that is ripping off American citizens, and we intend to see the FTC's lawsuits through. I filed another amicus brief yesterday on one of the lawsuits, and then Congress will take our steps to clean up this and to enforce the Bots Act.
Senator Marsha Blackburn from the great state of Tennessee. Stay safe and warm this weekend. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Suspect, they're still pending this morning.
House Speaker Mike Johnson says he will have the votes to end the partial government shutdown while lawmakers work out funding for the Department of Homeland Security. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries is going against Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and the deal Democrats in the Senate made with the White House. Joining us this morning is our very own Washington insider, Armstrong Williams. Good morning to you, sir. Good to see you.
Good morning.
We've been down this road before. I mean, so, you know, in honor of Groundhog Day, here we go again. There are deep divisions, as we know, Armstrong, within the Democratic Party on even just temporarily extending funding until a deal is reached, you know, with the ICE funding. You've got those also in the GOP who are adamant funding for DHS and ICE continues. So this is going to be interesting how this works out for Johnson. He says he's going to have the votes by tomorrow. Where's this going to land?
Listen, you got to look at the politics and what the larger issue is here, Janet, which is the midterm election. Obviously, Senator Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries got together on this. Schumer showing unity. This is what the American people want. Hakeem Jeffries appealing to the extreme progressives on their side and also those who give them the big bucks. It works both sides. Obviously, Johnson has the votes. The government shutdown, partial as you want to call it, will be averted. And there will be some Democrats that vote along with the Speaker of the House in averting this shutdown.
And what do you make about the fact that it will not stop ICE operations because DHS funding was already included in the One Big Beautiful Bill? So that's going to continue for several years, in fact. So what they're doing is not going to actually prevent the end game of what they're looking for. What do you make of that?
It's political grandstanding. They're appealing to their peanut gallery because there's some people who don't want the GOP or the Democrats to work together on any level. They would just like to blow the place up. And I think what is often amiss in this, Jan, is that these House and Senate members, Republicans and Democrats, are more aligned, have more respect and camaraderie than they can allow the public to see, because they realize what it would do for those that need to see this chaos and believe that there's this great division, to give their unwavering support to both sides, Republicans and Democrats, as you mentioned. This is politics.
Yeah, and they've got to put it on the record because they got to do a vote. So they don't want that to be twisted either. Meantime, you know, we saw ex-CNN host Don Lemon arrested, now officially facing charges. He's continuing to try to argue he was exercising his First Amendment rights as an independent journalist. Prosecutors, though, say those rights end when a crime begins, and if the government believes you are more than just a witness to the crime, more than just a journalist, which is what they're claiming that he arranged it. And what happens here with those charges, because a judge initially, you know, denied that request from the DOJ to file those charges. How are those charges finally filed?
Listen, Jan, Don Lemon crossed the line. If you listen to the tapes, the audio before and once he entered the church, he was lit. If you listen, you could assume that he was a part of the organization. Did the Justice Department do the right thing? Well, they had every right to do what they did do. Will Don Lemon end up in jail? No, but someone who was once a well-respected journalist on CNN should not be involved in this kind of escalation, especially inside a sacred place like the church. And hopefully other journalists who wants this kind of advocacy will learn from this, but you crossed the line.
Meantime, I got to ask you about your article that you wrote. Melania Trump's documentary passed box office projections, earning $8 million over the past weekend for the opening weekend. Really the best opening for a documentary in more than a decade, according to reports. You went to the premiere of that documentary at the Kennedy Center and wrote this editorial for the Baltimore Sun, in part stating Melania Trump's courage has never been loud. It has been quiet, consistent, and costly. She stood beside a man who was relentlessly attacked, not because she was compelled to, but because loyalty for her is not conditional on media approval. She accepted the burdens of public life without exploiting them. She forgave what needed forgiving within the privacy of marriage, and she refused to turn her family into collateral for political warfare. That is not weakness, that is strength without spectacle. Well-written article there, Armstrong. What kind of response are you getting from this?
I must tell you, I'm humbled by it. But listen, Melania is not performative. She understands that her husband is flawed, like all of us, we're flawed. She works those out in the privacy of her marriage, not for public consumption. The movie was dignified. It was graceful. And the humanity there was just overwhelming. And you saw her for who she is. And she also paid tribute to all first ladies, how they contribute to the arts, to the culture, and how consequential they are in that White House, especially the impact that they have on their husbands. And she has a tremendous impact on him. He respects her. And she has a very strong religious fiber to her. Something that doesn't come across, Jan.
Oh, you saw that in there.
Yeah, it's very deeply religious from her parents. That's who she is. And she tones the president down. Much respect for her. She doesn't deserve to be judged by her husband. She should be judged by her own merit. And this was a terrific movie. I was surprised at how good it was, okay? That hour and 45 minutes was well worth my time. And look at the reviews, not just mine. Everyone is saying the same thing if you go out and watch the movie. Well-deserved. Well-earned, and I'm not surprised that she did well at the box office.
When you have a Hollywood director like Brett Ratner, though, you know it's going to be pretty good. All right, Washington Insider Armstrong Williams, thank you for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.